All right, let's go over the main points for part 2 of today's lesson, do, does, and did. First, we got to talk about helping verbs. How do you make a question with helping verbs? To make a question, just switch the subject and the helping verb. This is just like the be verb. So, Kai will come later. Got the subject, helping verb, main verb. Switch the subject and helping verb. And now you have will Kai come later? Or Martin can speak Arabic. Can is the helping verb. Switch the subject and helping verb. Can Martin speak Arabic? To make a negative statement with helping verbs, just add not after the helping verb. Alex might play in the game. Drop in not, and you have Alex might not play in the game. You should use your phone. Drop not in the middle. You should not use your phone. Question and negative formation is the same for almost all helping verbs. These include can, could, will, would, may, might, must, should, anything with the be verb, and have in the present perfect. Have done, has done. Now, what about the present simple tense with do? When you make a question or negative statement, you must have a helping verb. However, the present simple tense doesn't have a helping verb, so you need to add a helping verb. And how do you do that in a question? To make a question, just put do in front of the subject. So, they have a test tomorrow. Drop in do, and now, do they have a test tomorrow? That's it, just put do at the beginning. Or, we need to leave soon. Drop in do we need to leave soon? Or, do you need to leave soon? And for a negative statement, put don't in front of the main verb. So I live with my parents. Drop in don't. I don't live with my parents. Or the students have textbooks. Drop in don't. The students don't have textbooks. And that's how you make questions and negatives in the present simple. In a question and negative statement, do is a helping verb. Now things can get a little bit tricky. So we need to talk a little bit about math, specifically algebra. So you start with a problem like x plus 2 equals 6. To solve this, you subtract 2 from the left side and then the right side. So whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. And that leaves you with x equals 6 minus 2. Solve for x. X equals 4. Now, why do we need to know this for English? What do you do with the third person singular, does? When the subject is he, she, or it, you have to add s to the main verb. When you turn this into a question or negative statement in the third person singular, you have to do a little math. So in the question, to make a question in the third person singular he, she, or it, start by putting do in front of the subject. Then subtract the s, the third person singular s, from the main verb and add the s to do. This is how you solve for x, sort of. So how does this work? Well, Skylar likes ice cream. You have the s because the subject is he. Add do. Now you have do Skylar likes ice cream, but this still isn't correct. Now we have to subtract the s from likes and add it to do. So the final question is, does Skylar like ice cream? For a negative statement, start by putting don't in front of the main verb, just like before. Then, like the question, solve for x. Elizabeth lives here. Drop in don't, so Elizabeth don't lives here, but we're still not done. Subtract s from the main verb, then add it to don't. So the final negative statement is Elizabeth doesn't live here. So what about the past simple with did? When you make a question or negative statement in the past simple, you have to do a little math just like with the third person singular s. So for a question, start by putting do in front of the subject, then subtract the ed from the main verb and add the ed to do. So again, you're solving for x. Skylar played rugby. Drop in do. Do Skylar played rugby, but we're not done yet. We have to move the ed to the front. So the final correct question is, did Skylar play rugby? And for a negative statement, same thing. Start by putting don't in front of the main verb. Then, like the question, solve for x. Elizabeth lived here. Drop in don't. Then move the ed. Elizabeth didn't live here. That's do, does, and did. The last thing we need to talk about is the common error that I call double trouble. Remember that in the third person singular, he, she, or it, you must always have one s. Takes, works, plays. In the past simple, you must always have one ed. In a regular statement, the s or ed is connected to the main verb. Now, when I say the past tense is made by adding ed, this is for regular verbs. However, many English verbs, the ed is added a different way. These are called irregular verbs like go, went, or eat, ate. However, they still follow the same rules. So with the s, the ed, you have sentences like Brian walks to work every day, or Brian walked to work yesterday. In questions and negative statements, however, the s or ed moves to the front with the helping verb do. So, does Brian walk to work? Did Brian walk to work? Or the negative statement, Brian doesn't walk to work. Brian didn't walk to work. So what is the double S double ED error? What is the double trouble? Students often remember to use does or did in the question or negative form, but they also keep the S or ED with the main verb. For example, a student might say, does Rie wants to come? This is the double S error. Or, did you eat breakfast today? This is the double ED. Kai doesn't has his own car, the double S. I didn't made dinner last night. That's the double ED. And that is enough for part 2, do, does, and did. Do the homework, do the exercises, and I'll see you in part 3.